So I want to ask the Prime Minister, how much worse does the situation have to get before he will join us in calls for a humanitarian ceasefire?
Well, Mr. Speaker, from the start, we have said that the first and most important principle is that Israel has the right to defend itself.
The migration films, we don't normally do videos like this. It's the first time we've done one. This is Faz. Faz has drawn migration films as a consultant, journalist and producer. And why are we here, Faz? You explain.
There's a report that we have got access to, which is in the public domain, by the way. This is not some kind of like
it's not a WikiLeaks kind of thing.
That we've done.
This is someone.
This is circulating at the moment. People have got it on WhatsApp. People have got it online. People have posted it as well. So it's readily available if you search for this report. The report is titled Gaza Burns, Rishi Earns.
A bit of background behind this. On Wednesday, I went on GB News. Now, one of the things I opened with was the conflict of interest between the Home Secretary, whose husband is Jewish, has family in the IDF, that's Suella Braverman. Obviously, the leader of the Labour Party as well, Keir Starmer, he has a conflict of interest. He's well known, his wife's a Zionist, he's a Zionist. Yeah. Then, of course...
Same with Suella, by the way. She's a Zionist.
And then, of course, the main man, Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister. His wife's father has a business in Israel called Infosys. So, as a result of this interview, a couple of different people got in touch and said, have you heard about this report that's flying around? First, the title is...
Gaza Burns, Rishi Earns.
Rishi supports Israel's right to defend its oil and gas explorations. Now, we're talking about a conflict of interest, how Rishi should not be allowed to make a decision around something as important as a ceasefire or arms trades or anything when he has a vested interest himself.
Yeah.
So, basically, he has signed a contract allowing, with BP, the energy giants BP, to permit them to do more exploration in the North Sea.
Yeah.
Under the premise that it's for energy security for this country, which is absolute rubbish.
Which is, the amount is 500 million barrels, basically.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this is something that you wouldn't really normally look into this kind of stuff because you're thinking, what's the North Sea got to do with this? And BP, obviously, British Petroleum, they're a huge company. That's what they do. We use their fuel stations up and down the country, right? They've got a connection and they've signed a contract worth $1.5 billion now with Infosys. What and who are Infosys, Matt?
Infosys was founded by Rishi Sunak's father-in-law. Now, this gentleman is called N.R. Narayana Murthy, and he is the father of Ashkata Murthy, who is the Prime Minister's wife. So anyway, this company, 2 months before Sunak provided these licenses, he signed a contract worth $1.5 billion. Now, this is for to make them the primary partner to BP for Infosys, the primary partner to BP end-to-end application services, investment, including development, modernization, management, maintenance, yada, yada, yada. It goes on. There's references. All this document has references, which we will be sharing in the description in the body of the post. So it was founded by his father-in-law in 1981. The Prime Minister's wife owns 1.07%. And so her shares are valued at $744 million. Okay.
A lot of money.
There's loads of other facts and figures in here where she's taken dividends of 6.25 million 1 year and 6.7 million
a few months later.
So
it's been from last October 2022 to July this year. Between that time, she's taken 13 million, basically. So there's 6.25 and then 6.7, which was split between them, two payments, one in October last year and one in July this year.
So now the wider family owns 4.15% of Infosys, worth over £2 billion. I would say that's a conflict of interest with any kind of decision making.
Massive conflict of interest.
So then, in an interview this year, Rishi Sunak was questioned about Infosys and their campus in Russia after the UK had been told to withdraw all businesses from Russia, and his response was: "This is a Sky News interview."
It's been reported that you've got family links to Russia, that your wife apparently has a stake in the Indian IT consultancy firm Infosys. They operate in Moscow. They have an office there. They have a delivery office there. They've got a connection to the Alpha Bank in Moscow. Are you giving advice to others that you're not following in your own home?
That's not. I'm an elected politician, and I'm here to talk to you about what I'm responsible for. My wife is not.
She is not, but equally, if you as a country, we are asking taxpayers to fund the UK's support for Ukraine. We're asking people in the UK to give their homes up to Ukrainian refugees, whereas it appears your family potentially could be benefiting from Putin's regime.
No, I don't think that's the case. And as I said, the operations of all companies are up to them. We've put in place significant sanctions, and all the companies that we are responsible for are following those, as they rightly should, sending a very strong message to Putin's aggression.
Do you know if Infosys is?
I have absolutely no idea, because I have nothing to do with that company.
So while all this is going on, and he claimed it is to help the UK economy, the 2050 goal for the net zero 2050 goal for emissions, Greenpeace have said it's all rubbish. It's gonna line the pockets of the companies. It's going to leave people in greater energy debt, and it's not going to help the environment at all.
And it doesn't change the cost of living crisis in the UK either. So there's no benefit for the people of the UK, basically.
No. But, okay, the reason we're talking about all of this is the subtitle here, BP licenses amidst genocide in Gaza. And I'm going to read this directly off the page. So, as Israel declared a war on Gaza following the attacks on October the 7th, 2023, the UK government was fast to position itself as an unequivocal ally that would protect Israel's right to defend itself and provide military aid by sending support units to the Mediterranean Sea. The military package includes a P-8 aircraft, 2 Royal Navy ships, 3 Merlin helicopters, a company of Royal Marines. The day immediately after the war was announced on the 8th of October, BP shares rocketed as soon as the markets opened on the morning of the 9th of October. There are references here to everything.
And they are credible sources.
Sky credible. It's in the public domain, in general outlets.
Government websites. There's
Infosys' own website, the government's website, it's there to be seen. So the World Bank also warned that oil prices could rise to more than $150 a barrel if the conflict in the Middle East continued to escalate, benefiting companies like
BP and their stakeholders greatly.
Another reference there. Conveniently, just after the war started, Israel, with its UK and US Navy protectors, also awarded 12 oil and gas exploration licenses to companies like BP and ENI in the Israeli-occupied waters near Gaza on October the 30th. And I remind you, British Petroleum, for which 5 years will be maintained, developed and provided by Infosys end-to-end, this deal would not have been secured amidst a war without the support and additional security provided by Israel's international alliances, where Rishi Sunak's government plays a big role as one of the major, unequivocally supporting world powers of Israel. So, as the situation deteriorates in Gaza, more than 10,000 lives lost. It's about 12,000 now, isn't it? I think
12,000.
Famine, dehydration, genocide by definition. The UK PM Rishi Sunak still refuses to advocate for peace and a ceasefire.
Ceasefire is now the best and maybe the only way to stop this conflict escalating beyond all control.
Mr. Speaker, we do have to remember that Israel has suffered a shockingly brutal terrorist attack. Hamas is responsible for this conflict and has the right to protect itself in line with international law, as the UN Charter makes clear.
Since October the 7th, he's travelled to Israel to provide his boundless support to Israel's Netanyahu.
In the last 2 weeks, this country has gone through something that no country, no people should have to endure, least of all Israel. And I want to share the deep condolences of the British people.
Then we saw that image of him stepping out of the cargo plane through the weapons. What Prime Minister does that?
Honestly.
It's just absolutely sick.
This shows why he did that.
Yeah. Money.
He was shaking his hand saying, we're in business.
Yeah.
Literally.
So the UK government's also been accused of heating up the war further, with communications coming out from government calling pro-Palestinian advocates different derogatory terminologies and making it more difficult to protest.
Which we've all been witness to this past week to 10 days, haven't we? This oddly blind, loyal support to Israel, ignoring the wishes of the British people and the human rights and international law organisations, provides serious benefits to Rishi Sunak. Through his political position promoting the legitimacy and military position of Israel, Rishi Sunak can ensure that his exploration projects can go ahead and that the sea is protected by the strongest powers in the world.
And it's all referenced.
Yes.
Everything is there. You want to see the references, we will post them in the body of the YouTube description page. Then to finish, the purpose will be to flatten the ground to then be able to get to underground bunkers where Hamas is supposedly hiding. As part of Israel's plans to flatten Gaza, regardless of human loss of life, Israel will open access to an important economic region. The total oil and gas reserves in Gazan coast range 122 trillion cubic feet, with 1.7 billion barrels recoverable. That's a lot of money. That would make Gaza one of the richest countries in the world. Yeah. Every oil and gas shareholder and stakeholder are well aware of this, and so is Israel, which had prohibited the Palestinian people from exploiting gas and oil reserves in their own land and water to meet their energy needs and generate any fiscal or export revenues. They stopped the Palestinians from drilling and tapping into this resource on their own land. And now they've got their excuse, they're wiping them out. So finally, it says there's nothing stopping Israel from expanding BP's and other companies' exploration licenses to the region, should it be annexed to Israel or flattened at some point, thus also benefiting further any oil and gas investments Rishi may have, and especially the 5-year Infosys contract granted by BP at the cost of thousands of lives and our human morality. And I think that last sentence sums it up.
What they're saying is, and what they're showing in their actions, that actually the Palestinian people, it doesn't matter if we kill them, it doesn't matter if we butcher them, it doesn't matter if we maim their children, as long as we get access to this gas and this oil, nothing else matters. As long as we can do what we want to be able to secure our futures, that Israel speaks like this, by the way, we can secure our futures with money, with power, with control, nobody else matters.
So yeah, so that's the point of this video, is to share this information, put it out there in a digestible, hopefully digestible video that you can watch and understand. And this is all because he was damning the protests, calling them hate marches, along with Braverman, and also refusing to call a ceasefire, which we all know is tantamount to complicity in genocide.
100%.
Yeah.
It's just really sad, to be honest.
It's infuriating. So, one would hope that all this information collated could maybe be used against the relevant concerned parties in any future charges or trials by the International Criminal Court, if it's ever brought about.
We live in hope.
We live in hope. That's it. Thanks
for watching.
Yeah. Since this video has been made, Suella Braverman has been sacked, alhamdulillah. And a bit of information I forgot to include was the fact that in 2020, Infosys hired someone called Yuri Levine. Now, Yuri Levine, they hired him as an independent director. Now, he used to be head of the 8200 unit, which is an intelligence gathering unit for the Israeli army. So, yeah, another conflict of interest.